Walk into any gym today, and if you see someone doing a one-arm row, and it looks like this, I can pretty much guarantee they're f***ing it up. But not anymore, because today I'm going to show you how to do the one-arm row properly, so that not only will you be setting the right example in your gym, but you'll also be getting better lat gains as a result. Oh, and by the way, without the pains. And the way to do that is by first setting up the angle of the bench to the right angle, and that is not flat. Because by setting it up at an incline, you're actually able to put both feet on the floor. You see here, I don't want any knees up on the bench doing a one-arm dumbbell row. And this is why. Because when you do this, you're introducing an instability to the pelvis that doesn't need to be there in the first place. And along with it, as I mentioned in other videos, an increased inguinal stress that could lead to a hernia. And the moment I do that, by virtue of having to put my knee up on the bench, I've taken my foot off the floor and instantly introduced asymmetrical loading to the pelvis. But then we look at the other foot, it's not just straight back, because that actually wouldn't be so bad in terms of the strain on the inguinal canal. We do that on a Bulgarian split squat, but it's the introduction of the frontal plane movement out and back in order to stabilize ourselves when we lift a heavier weight that starts to introduce the problems. Throw in the fact that as the weight gets heavy and we start to cheat it up a little bit more, we introduce a rotational stress. Again, it's just not necessary when there's better options. And that is to use the backside of this bench to support my upper body, which allows me to get both feet on the ground. This two-footed variation allows us to instantly get that stability that was lacking from the typically performed asymmetrical version of the one-arm row, which is a good thing because it removes that risk. And we do it three different ways. First, with both feet on the floor, we've normalized those ground reaction forces on the pelvis. That's good. The second thing is we can take the dumbbell and center it on our body and not have to offload it to one side and put that asymmetrical stress, because I could drop it straight here through the center of gravity and still wind up in the same target endpoint. And with our feet not needing to be any wider than shoulder width apart, or where we would comfortably squat from, we put ourselves in a position biomechanically to not only pull heavier weights, but to actually pull them without risk. But with your feet and body in place, you're still not quite done with the setup, because we still have to focus on our back. And this is where people kind of mess it up a little bit, because you have to at least be in a neutral position or even slight anterior tilt, but you don't want to be trying to pull from a tucked under posteriorly rotated pelvis. So what I like to do is think about deadlifting the dumbbell into position to do the exercise in the first place. So if I have my hand up on the bench, I'm going to hinge back at the waist. Drop it right through the crease of your hip to grab the dumbbell. Once I'm in this position here, wherever my back falls, I gotta keep it in that position before I pull, and even as I pull on every single repetition. How I pull though, that's where things get really interesting. And it starts with how we grip the dumbbell, because it actually matters a lot. You can either perform it from one of three different grips, either a neutral grip with our palms sort of facing our body, an overhand grip, or an underhand grip. But if it's your lats that you're trying to maximally develop here, then you're gonna wanna try to take the bicep out of the exercise. And we perform the exercise with an underhand grip, you're getting a lot of bicep activation. If you go the opposite way though, fully pronated, which a lot of us don't do, we kind of stick with the neutral grip, you're gonna maximally turn off that bicep so that most of the pulling can be focused on the lats where you're trying to grow. But regardless of what grip you pick, how you pull determines the results that you ultimately get. Because you can still turn this into an arm heavy exercise if you don't do it right. Because what a lot of us will do is just simply hammer curl the dumbbell up. And I will say that a lot of this is promoted by the fact that you do perform it from a neutral grip. Again, it's okay, but you have to understand you don't want to then carry that over to the all too familiar hammer curl motion. So what I say is fix it all by putting that dumbbell into my back pocket, which promotes a more natural rowing motion. Again, dominated by the elbow getting into full extension behind the body. Because even when you don't hammer curl the dumbbell up, we tend to sort of stop short. And by stopping short of full extension behind the body, we're limiting the effect we can get on our back. So if we put that dumbbell right there in the back pocket, we're on our way to a good rep. That being said, there's another thing you can do to promote doing it correctly. And that is let the dumbbell drift out in front of you a little bit. By drifting, you have a more natural angle back towards that back pocket again. If I let it sit straight down beneath me, I'm gonna tend to wanna pull it straight up. But at an angle in front of me, I'm gonna wanna try to pull it at that angle back, again, targeting that back pocket. Remember, doing it from this pronated grip is gonna give you even more of an effect towards getting a great lat contraction. But again, pick what's comfortable for you, but make sure you're pulling right in the first place. And so now that you know how to do a one-arm row properly, let's make sure your next back day goes off without a hitch, and that means knowing how to do a face pull and also a lat pull down. You can check those videos out by clicking on those links. Also, if you're looking for a complete program where I stress how to do exercises properly so you get the best results, you can find them at ATHLEAN-X.com. If you haven't done so, click subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss a video from me when I put one out. All right, guys, see you soon.